and welcome to Generation Movie on a Monday night in February. Football season's over. We're now in the off season. Oh, it's over.
Don't pitchers and catchers report tomorrow?
Yeah, it's not baseball season. We're in the middle of hockey and basketball season, and Daytona 500's next week. So those are the sports things that are happening. But
I was going to say, I should get credit for knowing that because I don't care about sports one whit.
You don't care about sports ball at all. Welcome to Generation Movie tonight. Tonight's the Colossal Conflict episode. We have a super duper guest star, Thom Shubilla, joining us tonight. He's written 3 books. We're super excited to have him. We're going to talk about this movie right here. This guy right here. We're going to talk about King Kong versus Godzilla. Released in 1962 in Japan, released in 1963 in America. Should be a fascinating conversation. Tom's written an entire book about it. Right here. I have a copy of, Rich has a copy of. So we're super excited to have him. He's a fountain of information. And we're going to do things a little bit differently tonight because of that. So it's not necessarily we're going to do production or all this other thing. It's kind of going to be a flow of consciousness conversation about King Kong, Godzilla, what they mean, the franchises, all of it kind of mixed together. Box office, Rich, always down on a Super Bowl Sunday, a Super Bowl weekend. But in light of that, we need to talk about this. Send Help is grinding along.
Yes.
Grossed $9 million over the weekend. A little bit over 50% down, but still remarkably low for a horror film, a Sam Raimi horror film. Plus, word of mouth is kind of propping it up. It's doing very well and kind of like keeping things afloat. It's at 34 million domestic, 17 million international. So it's kind of got some things going on. And, you know, the budget for it is about 40 million. So it's one of the first modest hits of 2026, which is always nice.
And it's always nice that it's an original concept as well. It's not IP, made for, you know, like we said, a small amount. It's generally just pulling in the cash. Other things have dropped from 3rd to 10th place.
I mean, something dropping 60%. That is definitely not 67 to be exact. 2.3 million, 13 million overall, with wild reports that military families are being made to go see the movie. On being ordered by their brass to go see the movie and take the entire family.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to give this film the same grace of I kind of doubt that as I give the same, you know, when I see somebody who hates non-Zack Snyder DC films going, oh, DC bought a block of tickets. That's why that movie did so well. Or
I don't know.
When you see like one,
I would say that's true, but this article was in Stars and Stripes. Like it's a real thing that's happening.
Okay,
anyway,
if that's actually verifiable, then
that's crazy. Also, we should talk about this because the last time we're going to talk about it. But this movie, this Iron Lung movie, again, one of the stories of the year. It dropped 63%, but in saying that it dropped 63%, it's at 31 million domestic, 4.9 million overseas. It only cost $3 million to make, which means we might see more of him. And that's okay. Like, you know, whatever's going to happen is going to happen there.
Whatever gets people to theaters, come on.
Well, that's the other thing. I you know, and talking about that quickly, we do have some major openings coming up this weekend, because it's Valentine's Day weekend. You know, we have a bunch of movies opening, including the first major kids movie of the year, GOAT. from Steph Curry. We also have Crime 101 opening. Chris Hemsworth, Mark Ruffalo, Barry Keoghan, and Halle Berry. We also have where is it at? I didn't grab it. Hold on. We have Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to both of those films, actually.
I think the interesting thing is when you have this time of the year, people are looking for product, right? We're in a product moment. We and it just, if the movie is good, if it has a shot, if it we're gonna have it. Also, another movie opening that's getting a little bit less of a buzz, but still in the same vein. Like, we want to make sure. Where's it at? This movie, Wuthering Heights, is opening. So, but in starting there, let's also, while we have everybody here, if you like our show, if you like hearing from Rich and I on a Monday night, if you like hearing from other people, like the rest of our shows this week, we have shows Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We have a Loud and Nerdy on Tuesday. Like and subscribe. If you want to see Gabe and his show, Symbolistic Cynicism, with a very special guest, Aviana Rose, I think her name is. She's been in some movies. He's on Wednesday night at 10. And then the new show that we have, Untrained and Unscripted, is at 10 on Thursday with, Ryan West and Joe. So like and subscribe. Find us. You can like and subscribe anywhere: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, X, IMDb, all those places you can find us. Please, by all means, do that. And then let's get some comments, and then we'll bring our guests because Tom's waiting, and I don't want to make him wait too much longer. I see you on T. Hello, Jamie Hill. Good to see you. I hope everything's going well. Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening, Joe Ridgely. Good evening, Ken McKernan.
Hey, Joe, thanks for stopping by, as always, guys.
Ken, or Canadian Ken, however you want to be called. Why is Facebook screwing this up every week? I don't know. We're working on it. The Melania movie is the best thing I ever saw. Pay me, please. No. That poster is so good. Get out of here, Raven. Stop it. I think that it's live on the Escape my personal page. I don't know what's going on, Joe. We're trying. Like and subscribe. Do housekeeping, JW. Laugh out loud. And then thanks, Joe. I keep searching for the live feed. Sorry. We're trying to make it work. I don't know why Facebook is screwing up every week. I will work with Joe to figure it out. Hopefully we won't have any more problems. And with that, I leave
on YouTube and the other places, so you can always see us there.
Yeah, you can always find us. And with that, I leave it to you, sir. Thom Shubilla, tell us about our guest.
Our guest tonight, our special guest tonight, is a writer, a professor, and a pop culture historian. He's written a couple of books. One, Prime Time, 1966, 1967, about the first entirely all-color season of network television. He's also written James Bond and the 1960s spy craze, which is as comprehensive as you will ever see survey of all the spy movies that came out in the wake of the James Bond franchise through the 1960s. It's an incredible read, and there was stuff in there I never even knew existed, and this was a little area that I've always been interested in. In addition, though, he's been the executive producer of the documentary Vermeer of the Borscht Belt, which is a wonderful look at the great cartoonist Drew Friedman. And this was directed by a mutual friend of ours, Kevin Darty, who I've known for about 20 years now, I think.
That's a long time.
Our guest has also been nominated for a Rondo for his writings in Screen and Monster Bash. He has a Forey Award for lifetime contributions to classic horror, science fiction, and fantasy. And that's kind of disconcerting because he has a Lifetime Achievement Award, basically, and he's younger than me. So I don't know what's going on there.
Is it Forey based on Forrest Ackerman?
Yes, it's named after Forrest Ackerman.
Just letting people know how important a Forey actually is.
Yes. If you're a podcast junkie like myself, you've probably heard our guest's voice on Fun for All Ages with Frank Santopadre, the Dana Gould Hour, and a little show I like to call the Big Picture Podcast with Rich and Natasha. But now tonight, you get to see him. Please welcome the writer of the new book, King Kong versus Godzilla, the most colossal conflict the screen has ever known, my friend, Thom Shubilla.
Hey, Thom.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
God, I hope you can live up to that.
I hope so too.
There's a lot of pressure.
I love
it. Rich is like, and he walked a nun across the street. Thom Shubilla.
Thom did some Catholic high school time. You did Catholic high school.
I did some Catholic high school.
So you're more than likely to push a nun across the street.
Well, with the books that you've written, I could see you being somebody who got hit by a Catholic nun with a ruler.
Quite a few times, yes. Came right after me.
Well, we're super excited to have you here. We're gonna take a page out of not do what we normally do, which is go hand and fist through everything. But my first question, so Rich was telling me that, Rich was showing me the books you've written. I'm intrigued by your love of Bond and everything, spies and 60s. And the first question I have for you, who's better, Derek Flint or Matt Helm?
Oh, I know what I know what your answer is going to be, Thom.
With this, I definitely have to go. I think I have to go Helm. Helm's a little cooler. Dean Martin, he's a better. I think he's a better fit for that role, even though he does go with it with his tongue very in his cheek. He knows what it is, and he has a bed that turns. So
it's a very deep cut. It's a very deep cut for the people watching tonight. If anybody can have a conversation about Matt Helm, the Matt Helm films and the Derek Flint movies,
I'm the man.
There's somebody I can hang out with.
Now, I don't want to kind of have you recite everything that's in your book, but I do like how you opened up the book, kind of talking about your own personal, I guess, journey to discovering Godzilla and stuff like that. The mentioning of the Crestwood House monster series brought a very big smile to my face, because I could, if you dropped me into my old elementary school's library, well, first of all, I'd probably get in trouble. But second of all, I could walk right to the exact shelf space where those books were, used to sit, because those were very formative.
I always say the same thing. My Holy Name of Jesus elementary school. I could tell right where they were. I sat in library class, and where those Crestwood books were, and where I read about these films that many of them I don't think I had seen for a very long time until I was a little older. But just sitting there reading about them and looking at pictures and just thinking, these movies have to be the most incredible thing in the world. I need to see them at some point in my life, and it definitely stuck with me, and perhaps changed my brain chemistry in some way, shape, or form. And here I am.
Oh yeah, they're very formative. I read those, over and over and over again. And those were the gateway before I could even start buying copies of Starlog and other genre movie magazines through the 80s. Do you have any of the Crestwood books anymore, or yourself, or?
I have a copy of Sun, or with a werewolf one, Werewolf of London. I have the beat up copy, because those go for quite a bit now.
Yes, they do. I have a copy of The Blob, and I'm not going to get rid of it, but I did pay a penny or two for it.
Yeah.
But if anybody's interested, they are out on, I think, Internet Archive. Somebody scanned them.
That's where for the book. That's where I did that was really a lifesaver with a lot of things, the Internet Archive, to find all those Crestwood books and just double check some facts and things like that.
Which actually, I guess, kind of leads me around about to the other question. My other, opening question was, what's your research process on this? We were talking a little bit before we started about how this is, very granular on a single movie, and that's what I really appreciate about the book. But I have to imagine you can't stop by the Margaret Herrick library that the Academy has and have them pull out a big fat file of stuff to look at. Especially with a film, made.
And I don't think it's as granular. I reading through, I found it like as you started to hit things towards near the end of the book, you start really nailing like the conclusion and toys and what's going on now, and like so I think it's probably all encompassing. I think but it is granular in the sense that you're picking one movie to start out your journey.
Yeah.
Is that how it starts?
So originally my thought process for the book was to talk about monster rally films. So films that Frankenstein meets the Wolf Man, House of Dracula, House of Frankenstein, and start diving into films like that. And I got to King Kong versus Godzilla, and I just kept falling down a rabbit hole of King Kong versus Godzilla. And I then also, in the back of my mind, I also wanted to write a book about a singular subject. I didn't want to write a book where maybe like the James Bond book and Primetime it could be a reference book. It could be a book. Well, okay, I'm watching The Man from U.N.C.L.E. I'm going to flip to The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and read the chapter on that. I wanted a more complete book. I wanted a book that was complete. I wanted a book that was, again, focused on a singular subject, yet talks about all the possibilities and post and pre-history of things. So when I fell down that rabbit hole, I knew that was the subject, and I immediately knocked out everything else and started really focusing on King Kong versus Godzilla. And I realized that was my project, my labor of love here. And with research, I always want to look at things from a historical perspective. I don't want to look at it from a perspective of somebody in 2026 and saying, the special effects are bad or whatever, or a modern critic said this. I want to look at it from a perspective of 1962. So a lot of newspaper research, a lot of, again, Internet Archive has a ton of stuff. So looking at the exploitation book of how to promote the film. So I did look at quite a bit of that. And also with this book, my original plan was to hopefully interview somebody for the book. Unfortunately, anybody who made King Kong versus Godzilla is dead or very old, or there would be some type of language barrier between us. And so I did the next best thing, and I found Linda Miller, who was the star of King Kong Escapes, which was the other Toho King Kong movie. And so I thought, wow, okay, she's the third person who is King Kong's
muse,
love interest, I guess you could say, enamored with, and made by the same studio, same director, same special effects producer. So she would have some really great insight into just at least the thought process in the studio and how things were done. So I had a really great interview with her, and she was been incredible to talk to and incredible to help promote the book too. So yeah, so that's my research process in a roundabout way.
So when you're talking about the monster mashup movies, one of the things that I was looking at when I was doing research on this movie to try to prepare a little bit, like not, being in your presence, I read the interesting concept that the original concept for this movie was King Kong versus Frankenstein.
Yes. King Kong versus Frankenstein was the original idea. Willis O'Brien, who was the special effects man on King Kong, he somehow believed that he had some intellectual property with King Kong. He had some right to Kong and the Kong name and likeness. And he started pitching around this idea. A guy by the name of John Beck, he was a producer in the United States. He had produced Harvey, was one of probably the big thing at that point to his name. And he started pitching it around to studios in the United States, and actually they went to the great lengths of getting the rights to Kong. So they went out and got the rights to Kong. They also tapped two people to help make the film. So it was George Worthing Yates. He had made It Came From Beneath the Sea, Earth versus Flying Saucers, Attack of the Puppet People, stuff like that. Frankenstein 1970, he actually made another Frankenstein movie. And then also Nathan Jurin, he directed like The Deadly Menace, 20 Million Miles to Earth, Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. So he had some giant monster films under his belt as well. But for some reason, studios just didn't really want to pick it up. Based on those two guys, in my theory, I would think that theoretically, I would think that it would possibly be a Columbia picture. Just based on the
because Earth versus the Flying Saucers and It Came From Beneath the Sea were Columbia movies, right?
Yeah. So again, just based on kind of those two guys, I think maybe it would have been leaned towards Columbia, but I could never really find anything that conclusively that said Columbia. So maybe Warner, maybe Columbia, definitely not Universal, maybe Allied Artists. Those would be probably my top prospects. And so they pitched around this idea, and it was going to be a giant-sized Frankenstein monster made of human parts. It was Carl. It was a descendant of Dr. Frankenstein brings this, and then a older Carl Dennin, hence Rich's shirt, brings the giant brings the giant King Kong, and they're in a carnival act, which is what you would do with giant monsters. And
of course,
yeah.
How else are you gonna make money? How else are you gonna make money with these guys? So that was the original.
That's the old joke of what's the rest of the act? I think that's a Dana Gould joke. Is what's the rest of the King Kong on Broadway? What's the rest of the act after you raise the curtain, let people look at him for a minute or two?
Or the other punchline would be, and quit show business.
I would say the other joke could be the insurance rates are what? I'm sorry. We're gonna put them in a tent, sir. You have a mangled body and a giant ape. Yeah, we're gonna put them in a tent, sir, and let kids come in.
Did they have anything?
Bring their nickels.
Did they have anything beyond a pitch? Did they have like at least a?
They had.
I think
they just had the pitch. Or? They had people attached to it, so
they had a really nice picture, right? They had a cool picture of. Mm-hmm. There's a Willis O'Brien picture that's floating around on the internet, which is just a guy standing in the center of Kong on one side and a giant patched together guy on the left.
Yeah,
and it's a fascinating picture. It's just like. I could see somebody like one picture. This is the movie. This is it.
This is it. This is the movie. So yeah, he had a series of paintings for it, and while he was out doing the setups for "It's a Mad World," John Beck had taken the idea to Toho, and they bought it up, and he cut out Willis O'Brien, much to his chagrin. So it's a true Hollywood tale. It's the guy who came up with the idea got screwed out of it, and much to his chagrin, it was given not stop motion animation. It was the Suitmation. as Willis O'Brien wanted the claymation that he had done for King Kong. And Toho decided to scrap the Frankenstein idea. There may have been some copyright issues here or there. And so they swapped in their homegrown monster of Godzilla. So
yeah, I think this is some of the suits, just so we're clear.
Okay. Yeah, as a kid, for me, I remember thinking, oh, they teamed up Godzilla and King Kong. I guess that was at the end of the run because, why would you do that when you have all these other cool Japanese monsters? This was a time before you could just kind of look up and see what the chronological release of this stuff is. And then later I was like, oh, this was kind of early in the run of, that original run of Godzilla films. It's like the third or fourth one. And so when Toho was, approached with this, that definitely had some kind of impact on the franchise itself going forward then, right?
It was the first film they had made of Godzilla in 7 years. So Godzilla was well on ice, literally and figuratively, because the end of Godzilla Raids Again, he was trapped under ice. And so they decided to bring him back. It was they were still in the monster business, but again, it just took a little while for them to come up with a new project for the monster that again is their Mickey Mouse. He's there.
That's a question and a half. That's a question and a half for you, Tom. Because you're looking at like the history that you go over in the book, and you're reading through. This is the third Godzilla movie, third King Kong movie. When they come up with the idea of like, I'm going to put my peanut butter in your chocolate, and you're going to put your chocolate in my peanut butter.
That just sounds dirty.
At the time, Godzilla wasn't what he is now. Like the Toho, the idea behind this movie is, Toho wasn't as protective of him as they are now. Right?
Yeah, no, they were not protective of it by any stretch of the imagination. Now Toho is very protective of their property. I'm in fear every day that Toho's lawyers are going to knock on my door, and
it's a comic book, Tom. I don't think they're going to knock on your door.
But so this was they hadn't made a film in a while, and actually in press releases and things like that, especially in the United States, they definitely had to explain quite a bit of who Godzilla is. They had to, okay, hey, this is a monster from Japan, and kind of go through his history in a number of press releases, and in the American version of the film, they make him out to be a new monster. He was trapped under ice for 1 million years. So that was really the one of the things that was brought up in the American version is that he was trapped under ice, and these monsters may have fought a long time ago, and now they're fighting again. And they did the same thing in the second Godzilla movie with Gigantus, the fire monster. They changed they didn't make him Godzilla at all. they just assumed people wanted a new monster.
What?
I guess that's also why King Kong gets top billing here.
Yeah. Well, not only does King Kong get top billing, King Kong gets top billing and he wins. Like, it is a shocking. Like, Rich knows this. My nephew has become fascinated with Godzilla. He's 7. He's 8.
Smart kid.
We started on the new ones from Legendary, right? And he has gone out of his way to find old Godzilla. I tell Rich about this all the time. We're constantly watching hours of Godzilla on a Saturday afternoon where we're just plowing through whatever's on HBO Max, whatever's on Tubi, whatever's on Amazon. Like, we're just going through everything, finding everything, just acquiring Godzilla knowledge, right? And you know, in the new one, Kong doesn't get a pin at all. Kong gets his ass handed to him twice. And you watch this one, and it's like they don't even care about Godzilla. Like, he's not even like it's not nearly as protect. I think that's the most fascinating thing for me is that Toho is like, yeah, we got this lizard. He's important to the Japanese people in some sort, but
I don't know. I think his importance to the Japanese people came later. And I don't quite know exactly when that was. I don't know if it was necessarily a flip of the switch, but I noted in the book, especially reviews from Japan of the original Godzilla. One of the reports were it was from actually Stars and Stripes, something they were talking about a little bit earlier, that
I like to be ahead of the game, Tom.
Yeah. I heard that. I was like, oh wow. So in Stars and Stripes, a sergeant, an army sergeant, Ricketts was his name, and he had the first review of Godzilla, unbeknownst to everybody, and you know, he had talked about, people were kind of laughing in the theater. The only time they really you know, were cheered or applauded was when Godzilla walked by. He must have saw it in downtown Tokyo, whatever theater they were in. You could see Godzilla. You could see the theater in that background. So obviously, people probably thought that was really cool. And also the Japanese reviews were, you know, okay, you know, it's a cool monster movie. You get to see guys in suits. There was one review I remember. It was something along the lines of, well, there's not a credible scientific explanation for this. Like, okay.
Somebody's missing the point.
Yeah. Great. Thank you, Captain Obvious. So I just never saw that in especially in reviews or anything like that from Japan. It came much later, where there was some
where they finally figured it out. They figured out what they had. Like they figured out that he's the biggest cash cow in the history of film.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, King Kong versus Godzilla pulling in big box office numbers certainly helped.
I find it interesting that, you know, this is causing me to start reevaluating how the Japanese saw the franchise, because I figured in 54 was it when the first one came out, they immediately went, oh yeah, this is an atomic bomb parallel, and you know, they got what, you know, the thematical stuff that Honda was trying to do there. But it's sounding like maybe they caught up to that idea a little bit later.
Yeah, a little bit later.
Reappraisal and a little bit more time.
I think the allegory stuff maybe got put on by, you know, you add a very brisk Raymond Burr. You know what I mean? Like, who's adding all the science and trying to add all the scientific stuff to it, where, you know, he's just jumping around yapping. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You know, it could have been caused by the atolls where we were testing nuclear bombs. You know, like, I don't know.
Sometimes I think you have to, regardless of what culture, what country, you have to hit people over the head with it.
Well, they do like, yes, there's a lot of hitting. I agree. So when they chose so tell us a little bit about the suits, right?
Yeah.
Godzilla's suit is pretty much the same suit they used in the original. How did they,
a little bit different because they had to
scale him, make him bigger,
scale it down. It was incredibly hot and incredibly cumbersome in that suit. So I think they streamlined the suit a little bit. With
Kong's suit, because he doesn't. How do I say that? Because I'm a Kong. We're in the house. It's really funny. I have the 8-year-old who's obsessed with Godzilla and King Kong and stuff. He's a Godzilla person. I'm a Kong person. So I've one of the first movies my dad showed me when I was a kid was, you know, the 33 King Kong, Beauty Killed the Beast, and you know, just the rest is film history. And so when they make the suit for Kong, he looks decidedly different, or is it just the idea that they couldn't get a suit that looked like the old Kong?
Yeah, I mean, I think they certainly couldn't do the same with if they were able to make the claymation stop motion Kong.
Oh yeah, no, I think it would have been cool.
They probably could make it more to their liking. They could probably get him a little bit more closer to the RKO King Kong. But yeah, I think just the nature of the beast, nature of the suit, you kind of had to work with what you can get, even though it was kind of a goofy face.
Yeah, no, I think everything works for the most part. I was watching earlier, I was telling you, and there's a moment where he does a thing where he does the double thing, and then he kind of does a jiggle like my arms might be stuck. But it's just one of those. It's one of those movies. Now, another thing that comes out, like, I was amazed at the amount of lore that comes out of this movie that we have with us in 2026, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, him being floated on a, behind a ship is mimicked in the legendary ones. Him with the balloons being dropped in is mimicked in the legendary. Are you a little bit amazed, like, after writing the book, that how much of the lore survived from 63 to now?
Yeah, and I didn't see the Godzilla X Kong sequel right when it came out, and I said something like, "Well, I guess they're not going to carry him by balloons." And so, whoa, wait a second. You spoke too
You're missing
soon.
the point, Tom.
Whoa,
a gorilla with balloons. Holy shit.
So then I have to see this movie. Great. I was dragging my feet a little bit. So yeah, it's incredible that, and even I think it's a movie that even if you haven't seen it, you have some concept of what it is. You have a concept of the movie. You've heard about it. You've heard about maybe the two-ending urban legend. You've heard about just something in that movie.
Okay, so Tom, for people who are watching, you're the expert here. What is the two-ending urban legend, Tom?
The two-ending urban legend of the movie is that it was reported originally by Spacemen magazine, written by Forrest J. Ackerman of Famous Monsters of Filmland magazine.
You're a Florida recipient. You got that in. You had to get that in, right?
You got me. Forrest J. Ackerman had reported it in Spacemen magazine, had reported it, republished it in Famous Monsters of Filmland magazine. I think Monster World magazine also I think had reported it as well, that there were two endings in America. We had gotten that King Kong wins, and that in Japan they had gotten that Godzilla wins. And the Crestwood House books that we were just discussing also reported that from the Famous Monsters of Filmland magazine. And then, as I have in the book, subsequent newspaper articles written for decades and decades and decades and decades and decades after also report on this. Absolutely not true. Even if you want to believe that it's real and they may have changed something, they retconned something or other in history, the sales guide to Toho, the international sales guide of Toho, before Universal Studios picked up the picture, it clearly states that in the end, Kong wins. So in both cultures, Kong handily wins. He is seen swimming back to his island. The only truth to this is that in the Japanese version, you do hear both roars of King Kong and Godzilla.
Yes.
And in the American version, you only hear Kong. So is there some truth to it? Sure. Maybe. Like any good legend, there's a hint of it.
when history becomes fact, Tom, you print the legend.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, in the book, the legend that I print is that apparently Forrest J. Ackerman was on the set of the filming of this movie. I don't know how true that is. We printed it. I printed it. I had talked to a friend of mine who knew Forrest J. Ackerman very well, Joe Moe, who was friends with Forrest J. Ackerman, and was an associate of him. And I think he helped, and he definitely helped with the archives of Forrest J. Ackerman before his death. And I messaged him and I said, is there any truth to this? And he said, yeah. He said absolutely. That Forrest J. Ackerman was in Japan during that time, and he was meeting up with a gentleman that he ran a publication, Horror World, a little bit later in the 80s. He was kind of the Japanese Forrest J. Ackerman, so he was kind of Mr. Horror of Japan. So I don't know. So that's how the legend got started, and that's how it continued to, really was repeated throughout history.
Propagate.
Yeah, propagate. There we
go. Let's talk about the popularity of this particular movie, right?
Yeah.
We would normally do a box office thing, but it's really hard to do box office numbers. But one of the things you can do is go into the archives on this movie and realize that it is one of the most attended films in Japanese film history.
Yes.
I'm reading that right. 11.2 million tickets, and possibly at like over 12 million now.
That sounds right. Yeah.
So you can't really get into the numbers because it's a 62 movie. Rich and I, we do old movies all the time. And it's like, you find out Lawrence of Arabia made $16 million, and it's like, it was the biggest fucking hit ever. Right. And then you're like, Iron Lung did 17 last week. You know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah,
but it's difficult to gauge for inflation. But
is the number of tickets sold though? Is that like the initial release, or are we talking about? I believe there were some re-releases of this in Japan, right?
Yeah, there were re-releases. I'm not sure. It was considered one of the biggest that year. I know. So it did have subsequent releases. There was something called the Toho Champion Festival where they'd re-release their films. But I definitely it being the biggest film was from its original release. In America, I mean, it pulled in. I think I have it here. So it pulled in $1,250,000. And it was the 67th highest grossing film of the year.
Okay, I have the
How the West Was Won took the top spot with 17 million. So that was Variety reported that.
And that's the interesting thing there is also, just so we're clear, How the West Was Won had an inflated ticket price because that movie was a traveling roadshow.
Oh,
right. So it played in Cinerama theaters around the country, but then when the movie moved around and set up Cinerama screens so that it could play all of the different versions, movie was the first 70 millimeter kind of thing. Rich, I have the ticket here. Here are the ticket sales.
Like a 3D premium upcharge.
And I definitely remember Turner Classic Movies in the late 90s, I would say, when they explained the letterbox of your screen.
Yes.
Why they had to do it with How the West Was Won. Now that's all coming back to me. Thank you.
Yeah, because it was the way it was set up was the Cinerama screens were almost quadruple what a regular screen was. So it was a traveling roadshow that would bounce into a city, play for a week, and then move on. My dad saw it at the West Side Theater in Scranton, Pennsylvania. just something he remembered he always passed on to me. And then it played for a week at the Comerford and went to see it there too. But so 11.2 is the opening, Rich, salvo for this movie. It then there's a 1970 re-release where they sold another 870,000 tickets. Then there's a 77 release, sold another 480,000 tickets. And so it's 2 billion yen from all the way through 77. And then basically they're looking at it. It's a $1 billion movie. It's one of the first $1 billion movies.
Well, basically, Thom said, it had been 7 years since they had done the last Godzilla. And then this comes out, just bags of money everywhere for everybody. This is pretty much the movie that really launched the franchise then, because they were just like, well, we got to keep doing this over and over again. Similar to almost probably say like the impact Thunderball had on the James Bond franchise. It was like that was the big breakout moment, and then
this was or Goldfinger, where this was the first two set up the franchise. It may have.
I think Goldfinger has everything. Tropes. Goldfinger has everything you want.
Okay. I'm sorry. I was
Thunderball's fine though, because Thunderball's been remade 3 times. So you can't fault Thunderball. That script is so good. They go, we need to remake that every 20 years or so. But so the interesting thing again that I came out of it today was the sheer volume of lore for both Godzilla and Kong, right? Like, because this is one of the first movies that really goes into why is Kong hanging out with the natives, right? Like, he's getting trashed with the natives, right? Like, whatever's in the red jugs. Like, I was thinking it was blood, but then I was like, I had that scream moment where it's like, the blood's too red. It doesn't look right.
The red berry juice.
I was thinking, I was showing my age, and I was like, it reminded me of the gummy berry juice from the old Gummy Bears cartoon show. Very red and in little canisters. You know what I mean? That they could just pass out to one another and bounce around so they wouldn't get captured. And then he immediately passes the fuck out.
How do I go back to the question I want to ask, man?
You can. It's fine. I'm irreverent. That's who I am.
Oh, yeah.
You're studious.
No, Godzilla and the first one are here, and then King Kong versus Godzilla does like this incredible leap, it seems, in terms of box office appeal, launches everything. What was it about this movie that hooked the public in Japan far better than like the original first 2 films?
Well, one is in color. So it's the first time that we see King Kong and Godzilla in color. And I think King Kong was also a very popular film in Japan, and probably that helped. So that original star power, you have the old star to kickstart that Godzilla.
It's
franchise.
Like a reboot quill,
right? Yeah,
it's like a modern reboot quill.
Or you just have the old star. You have the established star there to help the new guy out.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes total sense.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. So you have that. You have So the first time you see these guys in color, the first time that, just having giant monsters fight right there. That's always a moneymaker, and they had started to start that trope in Godzilla Raids Again, where Godzilla fights Anguirus. That was, again, that's setting the tone, much like From Russia with Love, where they give James Bond a Q. So Q comes up with some cool gadgets for him, and establishes that kind of thing. Whereas in Goldfinger, that's when they give you all the cool gadgets. That's when they start coming up with some wacky things. In King Kong versus Godzilla, that's when they start taking it up to 10. You know, it's like, okay, Godzilla's throwing fire. There's electricity. There's mortar shells all around them. That's really where everything comes into play. So it's a spectacle. It was a spectacle. That's really what it is.
I think
blockbuster.
Yeah, and one of the things, like, you have Kong established as somebody who's defending the denizens of Skull Island from that octopus, right? Like and that's just the wackiest sequence, because like the people are fighting the octopus, and then Kong shows up and he just kind of kicks it and he jumps on his face, and and he just like flings it into the water, and it's like, and then he goes and gets his juice.
Apparently, by the way, the crew ate the octopus afterwards. So,
makes sense. Makes sense. He wasn't that good an actor, Tom. He's no Kong.
And also, speaking of things coming back, Kong in Kong Skull Island
fights a giant octopus.
Fights a giant octopus and eats it. One
of the things that coming out today and having you on tonight. What I was surprised with watching this one, like, and if I'd seen it, I hadn't remember seeing it. You know, like sometimes all of these movies kind of mash together for me.
Yeah.
And I was the joke was, I told Rich a couple weeks ago, I had a moment where I mashed up Shelley Winter's death in two different movies, and it kind of just mashes together. I mashed up her death in Night of the Hunter with the Poseidon Adventure, and it was just weird, and I was like, why is she still alive? Anyway, but it's like that. What I was amazed with the sheer volume of lore that's in this movie, that almost all of the legendary stuff, the cool stuff that everybody's picking up on and not necessarily knowing why they like it so much, is the stuff from this movie, right? Is Kong on a boat, you know what I mean? Like Kong, like being dropped in with like balloons. You know, Godzilla and Kong kind of fighting it out in front of with a giant house between them, kind of mirrors what they do with the pyramids. You know what I mean? Like it's like they've seen this one, and this is one of the ones they've really seen, where they, we can take all this lore, we can bring it forward, and we can kind of like make this one even more special for the rewatch. You know what I mean? That's what coming out. I was amazed at like half the stuff, like,
again, everything else in any other Godzilla movie, you don't see that referenced as much.
Well, and like, I think you had a really good point. The idea that he's paired up with, hey kid, I'll teach you how to tear down buildings. You know what I mean? Like, hey kid, I climbed the Empire State Building. What have you done? Oh, ran around Tokyo.
The old gunslinger coming back for one more fight. And like you said, like,
I'm trying to rapidly come up with a shootist joke here, and I just can't do it.
Well, it would be Ward Bond, right? It's Ward Bond, or we've been talking about how well it's done, and we almost had another Godzilla film that also crossed over with a well-known American icon. Tell us a little bit about Batman versus Godzilla.
Oh, Batman! I was wondering where you're going with that. I couldn't think of it off the top of my head. Yeah. So shortly after the premiere of Batman 1966, there were talks between Greenway Productions and Toho Studios to create Batman versus Godzilla. And it would have come out at the end of the second season of Batman. So after the first season of Batman, they released Batman the movie. The second season would have had Batman versus Godzilla. There were two treatments. There was the Japanese treatment, which may have been lost to history, and the Greenway Productions treatment. However, that treatment would have introduced Batgirl and the Bat Cycle, and the Batcopter. It would have also the Batcopter was already, but yeah, Bat Cycle.
Does he have Godzilla repellent? Did he have Godzilla repellent?
He's brought to.
I didn't know about this, and I'm one of the biggest Batman 66 fans.
He is brought to Japan.
I'm just beaming inside.
Yeah. He is brought to Japan to fight Godzilla. A new villain would have been controlling Godzilla, Finster, who is a German living in South America.
Oh my god! Amazing! Oh god, we have to make this. They should at least make a comic book.
No, there's a comic. There's a comic. They did make the comic. So he's a German living in in.
He doesn't have a tiny mustache, does he, Tom?
what's Argentina?
Argentina.
And we haven't heard about anybody hiding out there.
He controls the weather, and he controls Godzilla. So that's a pretty good. And he lives in the Mariana Trench, as one does. As one
supervillain does.
And,
oh my god, that sounds fascinating.
Yeah, I'll spoil it for you. I'll spoil the movie for you that was never made. Godzilla
eats Batman.
Batman proceeds to climb up to the top of Godzilla, explode something in his brain, and then shoot him into space.
Some days you just can't get rid of a kaiju.
They clearly don't have what it needs. Batman clearly finds a way to take control of Godzilla and gives him his freedom back. Why are we sending him to space?
Kill him and shoot him into space.
Why are we killing him? It wasn't his fault. It was that German guy. That's amazing.
Argentina.
Well, I mean, it was the interesting thing.
I'm sure there was a big furor over his character.
At least in 1967, we knew what side we were on.
Yeah.
We knew the German guy in Argentina was a bad guy. Who control? But so
people will be rooting for him.
Jesus. I have a joke. The joke would be, and Finster was also coming off of the TPUSA halftime show yesterday.
He was a big fan.
But so with once Godzilla and Kong get it, fight, right? It becomes the standard by which the screenplay where they basically have Godzilla coming back, where Godzilla starts coming back and he's fighting other monsters. Eventually we get, the island of monsters where everybody's kind of fighting and hanging out. We get baby Godzilla. We get all of these interesting kind of monsters, but it all starts with this one. This is the legacy for this one. This one creates so much interest, generates so much buzz. It's like the equivalent of Hogan and Andre in the WWF, right? It's
absolutely.
Right, it generates so much buzz that the match doesn't even have to be good.
Yeah, it's always the third. It's the third.
Right.
WrestleMania 3, third King Kong, third Godzilla. Yes. It's number 3. Third James Bond.
Well, and I was thinking about that too, right? It's the idea of you're matching up your biggest, because we did The Princess Bride last week, and I was trying to explain to Rich getting Andre the Giant for The Princess Bride was no easy feat because he made so much goddamn money just showing up places.
Yeah.
Right? So the Kong is kind of like the traveling roadshow attraction. He shows up, hangs out with another guy. They do some matches. That's fascinating.
And the at the time in Japan, there was a buzz about professional wrestling. They were Yeah, and that was one of the influences of that fight is pro wrestling. So yeah, you hit the nail on the head with Andre versus Hogan. Yeah,
I try, Tom. The thing is, I bring Rich down. Rich doesn't like horror movies as much as I do. I drag him down with me into the muck and the mire, like with my love of the WWE and like I really love slashers, Rich. We're gonna watch slashers this year. So I just drag him down with me. He's so erudite and smart. I have to drag him
to do a month of documentaries just as retaliation.
So let's talk. So the legacy of this movie create like where we're at right now, right? With this franchise, like the legendary franchise, which is going batshit. Right? We have Hollow Earth, we have Mothra, we have more kaijus, right? We have everything going on. You talk a little bit about tell us a little bit about how this movie kind of leads into the generation of filmmakers that will produce all the legendary movies and all of like the Godzilla where they bring him back and he's, they have Bryan Cranston in the movie and it's crazy. And Pacific Rim kind of like sparks more of you talk about that a little bit in the book. Tell us a little bit about that, where it's headed and what this movie being the basis by which, again, so much of the lore is stacked upon.
Where it's headed? That's a good question. I mean,
I have an idea. I have an 8-year-old that has an idea.
What's the idea? I don't know. I don't know. He saw the Hollywood pictures. I have no idea where they're going.
Well, so the new one that comes out in 2027, March 2027, is called Supernova. And he immediately looked at the logo and he goes, "It's Space Godzilla. It's got to be Space Godzilla. It's going to be amazing."
Wow.
And we had just watched the one with Space Godzilla, and he goes, "Space Godzilla is awesome because he has all he has the giant shoulder pads, and he fires stuff off, and he takes control of the one little town, and he turns it into like a giant semiconductor, so he can use all his powers." And I'm like, he saw this. He just saw the trailer and went, "It's Space Godzilla. It's definitely Space Godzilla." And then he walked out of the room, and I was like,
"Well, I mean." One thing I do like about the legendary franchise right now is that they kind of like, they are batshit crazy. They kind of lean into all the crazy early 20th century pulp conventions of hidden islands, worlds, a world underneath, Hollow Earth world, underneath Earth and stuff like that. And they get crazy with it. And they also, like the zero gravity fights that you'd see in one of the movies. They get a little inventive with it as well. So, but I'm like, okay, what's the one thing they really haven't done from all of the franchise, the Godzilla franchise already? And it's Aliens. So yeah, Space Godzilla probably is the next thing.
Space Godzilla, King Ghidorah, he's from outer space.
Ghidorah's been done, and Ghidorah's also he's a 2-time villain. Because if you ask again, I hate to bring my 8-year-old nephew, but he's adorable. If you ask my 8-year-old nephew who Mechagodzilla is, he goes, "King Ghidorah." It's clearly King Ghidorah, because that's the conceit in the one movie is they put King Ghidorah's brain into Mechagodzilla.
Right.
Is what happens.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, but I think the interesting thing is like one of the things when you're watching the old movies, right? And this one doesn't have it. I was pleasantly surprised, but also. This one, the core cast, people in the movie are kind of like, it reminded me a little bit of Godzilla -1, right? It's a lot of people kind of spread out, working together, trying to figure out what's going to happen next, trying to save people they might love, right? But the one thing this one doesn't have is like that. Watching all the old crazy Toho movies, there aren't any Atlanteans, there aren't any space people. Like this one is just straight. We found an ape. He was hanging out with a bunch of people, a bunch of natives. He got trashed. We put him on a boat. We can use him to fight Godzilla.
We're going to put him in a commercial.
Yes, the whole like the idea that the movie also is supposed to be some sort of like, and again, I got a little bit of it with like the crazy shows that are going on the Japanese game shows and stuff. The guy playing the drums like a maniac, and he's like, that's what we're gonna do, and maybe we'll get some drugs out of it, right? So it's like, but it's like they haven't done that in the legendary films where like they've gotten too super crazy. But I was pleasantly surprised because it's one of those movies where you're watching it and you're like, I can't believe how much of the lore has lasted since '62.
Yeah.
Right. Like it just survived. You know.
Yeah. And again, it's like it's often the common denominator. It's the common connection that all these movies have together. I'm interested in the new Toho films and what direction they're going to take with Godzilla minus zero.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, first off, that movie's fantastic.
When minus one came out, I'm in the Philadelphia Film Critics Circle, and our deadline for seeing nominated films was the day that came out, and we had not had that made available to us in terms of like advanced screenings or anything. And myself and one other member both saw it like opening day, and we're immediately like, guys, go see this weekend because you'll want to have this under your belt when you're starting to do your nomination process. I can't talk about too much more, about how many nominations it got or anything like that. We keep that internal, but that was like the thing where we were just like, oh, this was really good. I was pleasantly surprised. I saw Godzilla minus zero with a Godzilla minus one, excuse me, with another friend of mine who's a big Godzilla fan, and literally as the credits finished, because we were both sitting there like, we turned to each other and we both said almost simultaneously, best since the original.
Well, and that one also has the amazing capacity for the humanity that's in it. Like, it's one of the very few Godzilla movies you watch and you're like, I really care what happens to these people. Yeah. Like, I super care about what happens to all these people.
And I don't know what direction they're going to take anything, because at the end of the film, you saw the girl's scar. And is she going to become something? Is that
I was thinking
supernatural
it could be like,
radiation thing? And I see videos of people speculating on, well, if you turn the one thing, it kind of looks like the smog monster. If you turn, I don't know. Are they going to go that direction? Like where?
Well, going back to wrestling, Tom, you always eventually have to turn Godzilla face. He has to go face at some point. He can't be a heel forever.
It's true,
right? I always thought the girl stuff was heading towards a like kind of a retcon maybe of Shin Godzilla, like the idea, like because that's how Shin Godzilla starts, with like people getting infected and like it just not super fun. Like I think it's good, but it's not fun. it's gory and crazy and nuts. But I think one of the things that you can see with like the legendary movies where they really care about it, the Toho understands now what they have, right? The idea that they understand, because there was times like in the early 2000s, but the Toho stuff was making good stuff, and then they were like, yeah, we'll let Matthew Broderick make his little movie with it. And it's like,
a movie you may or may not
have fun
Jurassic
giant
Park.
The Broderick, Dean Devlin Godzilla, I'm not going to defend it as a Godzilla movie because I don't think
it wasn't called Godzilla.
Some of the criteria you need, but it's a fun giant monster movie, but it's not Godzilla. And they make a point of saying that in a later Godzilla movie that the Americans thought they were attacking Godzilla, but it wasn't.
It was Final Wars had that,
Yes, Final Wars. Thank you.
Yeah, it's just, but his legacy's pretty like the interesting thing is that, you know, when you're reading your book, the idea that they put Kong together with him, Kong is like, I didn't think about it quite as succinctly as you put it. He's super established, right? He's 1933. Even Son of Kong is pretty watchable.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, and Kong himself has been, you know, the remakes of Kong, you know, the 76 notwithstanding, and King Kong Lives, of course, not great, but the Peter Jackson 2005 Kong, pretty astounding, right?
Yeah.
That kind of, you know, also establishes his street cred, right? Yeah. No, that's fantastic.
There's, in the exploitation of the film, in one of the in Japan, in one of the press releases, they did, you know, they again try to establish this as like a heavyweight fight. You know, there was this, they put out statements by King Kong and Godzilla. And I really love it, you know, and there's Godzilla, you know, he states that, you know, it's 7 years since he rose from the bottom of the ocean, and, you know, that you can't wait to fight King Kong, and Kong states something like, I may be a stranger to younger people, but he has quite a number of fights under his belt, and you know, and he can't wait to return to the screen. So I think that kind of sums it up quite a bit. That
amazing.
You know, that
they need Don King.
You know, you kind of have to ease younger viewers in, and you know, here we are.
I you know, I'm not a stranger to fighting giant lizards.
This is true.
I can take him. My island's filled with them.
Mm-hmm.
He's just a bigger version of them.
Question before on another podcasts that I've been on, and I've asked many people this, and I always like to get people's opinion on it. So, you know, the day where Kong takes Fay Ray and he fights the T-Rex, he fights the snake, he fights the pterodactyl, he fights the weird monster with the weird hands. Is that like an unusually rough day for Kong, or is that like a day at the office?
Unusually rough day.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Because I think what you see with Kong is I think he roams around and does whatever the fuck he wants. But the moment Fay Ray or the girl shows up, he's at a distinct disadvantage. Also, she's fresh meat. Right? And I don't mean that in a sexual way. I just mean it. She's fresh meat on the island. So if he's walking around with her and the other people are like, well, I normally stay away from him, but I did smell that blonde. He's got a snack
with him this time. Woo-hoo.
And I don't think it's a normal day. I think it's a day where he's like, and I think that's part of the reason he gets so like both Kongs, right? The Peter Jackson Kong has the same thing. Every time he turns around when she's with him, he's got 3 T-Rexes, or he's got raptors all over the place. You know what I mean? Like every time he turns, like I think it's her. Like,
yeah. As
sometimes you want to say, the women in our lives can cause us chaos. And so I don't think it's a day at the park for him. I think he's like, plus he's added a slight disadvantage.
He's got to watch the girl and okay. I like your answer.
I can't.
I'm not going
to add anything else to that.
Well, no,
that's
Rich.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I just think it's a long day. Because when he gets to the rocks, he's always like, he's just like, he looks so fucking exhausted. Like he looks like, he's like, oh, yeah, dance, whatever. Just, I'm gonna hit you with my thing. I'm gonna flick you. It's been one of those days. But that's a great question. So, Tom, I also have a question. I have a question I ask everybody. What's your favorite movie of all time, Tom?
So,
it's like a Rorschach test.
The Rorschach test. So the movie that I have certainly watched more in my entire life, and I can honestly say it's my favorite movie of all time, is Plan 9 from Outer Space. So my Rorschach test came back, and
you're weird.
Men in the white coats will come and get me later. Yeah. It's okay.
Congratulations. There's a padded cell waiting for you. It's a really fun movie, though. I mean,
it's a fun movie. It's a movie that I certainly remember watching. I mean, Tom, there we go.
Tom, it's not a shocker or anything,
not
Tom.
A shocker. It's a movie that I certainly remember watching when I was very little. And I watched it. I remember watching with my dad, and then an episode of The Outer Limits, and the two kind of mashed in my head somewhere of the plots and the we're taking over your television, and that all kind of
it's like, what if they're doing it?
Mashed in my head. Yeah,
we do on one of the other shows.
You look really good in Angora.
Well, yes. I was also going to say. It ties into wrestling. It all comes back to wrestling. Tor Johnson. It all comes comes back to wrestling. I was going to say the other thing, Tom. We do on the other show I do in the network, Loud and Nerdy. We do a weekly Twilight Zone thing.
Oh, okay.
So we do one episode of the Twilight Zone. And we're burning through the entire show.
Nice.
We're in season 3.
Did you ever watch Ultra Q?
No, what's Ultra Q?
Oh, okay. So Ultra Q is the first in the Ultraman universe.
Okay.
And so it came out in '66 in Japan, and it's in the next series, Ultraman was introduced. But Ultra Q is like maybe like an X-Files kind of thing, but it's also called the Japanese Twilight Zone. And there's
precursor.
Episodes the disappearance of flight whatever
309.
Yeah, 309. No, what 409 maybe.
409. Okay.
There's a very similar Ultra Q episode, only with giant monsters.
Okay.
So it's a giant monster. It's a giant monster. It's Twilight Zone with giant monsters.
Oh, cool! That's amazing.
Check it out. It's worth checking out. There's one season, and it's real cool. Half hours.
Mill Creek put out a really nice steelbook.
Yes.
Steelbook.
Yeah.
That
I will take that.
Man, steelbooks actually.
Yeah.
Which
we're just getting into Ultraman now. Ultraman just showed up in one of the Godzilla movies we watched. So
it's Jet Jaguar. That's
Jet Jaguar. That's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I gotta get straight from my 8-year-old nephew. Tom, what do you got coming up? What's your next foray into madness?
So, what I'm working on is and I don't have I haven't even pitched it yet, to be perfectly honest with you, but I'm working on it, and which is apparently really backwards of how you should do things, but that's fine.
Welcome to our life.
Yeah. So I'm currently working on, speaking of television, working on a book. It's a takeoff of something that I had mentioned in King Kong versus Godzilla, and that was that monsters belong on television. That when King Kong first aired on television in 1956, thus kicking off monster movies being in vogue on television. And the next year, the Shock package being put out, where they released Frankenstein and Dracula and things to television for the first time. By the way, King Kong aired on WOR in New York for a week straight, twice a day, 3 times on weekends. So big, grand entrance for Kong on television.
It's like meth.
Yeah,
it's like sci-fi movie meth.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna give it to you twice a day, kids. You're never gonna forget it.
twice a day for a week straight, 3 times on weekends. So I made a statement. I said something along. I said it proved that monsters belong on television, and so that's what the book is going to be talking about. Just that Kong on television, early history of monsters being aired on television, monster films.
Saturday afternoon matinees.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Shock package, horror hosts.
And eventually you'll get to The Apprentice.
That's how the book ends.
That's the last true monster on television. But no, that seems like a because I think for so many in our generation, like Rich in my generation and your generation, that first hit with your dad or your uncle or your grandfather, right? That first hit that you get of what how I'm doing it with my nephew now, right? Saturday afternoon, sitting there, burning through like 3 or 4 of them, and like getting up and getting a snack. You know what I mean? Well, I obviously get snacks, but getting up and getting snacks, Tom. And then that's like the first true rush, right? First true rush any of us.
My dad had a bunch of movies, like really cool movies taped, and I just would every day just watch a new monster movie, watch it for the 10th time, watch it for the 20th time. I was just so just in love with these films, and so that I felt the need to really write about that, and I have it in my book as well.
That is amazing. You do hit all of the important ones. Plan 9 from not Plan 9 from Outer Space. Yeah, sorry, you got me. Beast from 20,000 Fathoms and Gorgo, and you know what I mean? Like so many important movies where you're just like, you're watching them with somebody in your family who lets you into the club.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. And for my next book, I have I always grew up with my dad talking about that, growing up, in the late 60s, early 70s, and watching these movies late at night with his brothers. So they'd come in from, whatever, and sitting there, and even after he had moved away and would come home on weekends, just, being able to sit there and watch monster movies with his brother. His dog was there, and his, my Uncle Tom would throw the dog peanuts every so often, and just being able to watch that monster movie. And I always thought that was such a cool thing. And I said to him, look, I'm writing this book. You need to write about this for me. You need to set that scene for me. So I think that's going to be a really cool piece in the book, of how that was passed on to me, and how people of a certain age, kind of came into watching monster movies.
Well, Rich knows this. My dad ran a movie theater, so I've been in it since I was 4. Right, I've just been in the movie, but obsessed with movies since I was 4. But my dad's story, that kind of jumps on yours. every whatever night the original Twilight Zone aired, my dad had five brothers. Right, they would have to be home by the second tinge of the Twilight Zone music. Whatever night it was, they would have to be home by that second tinge, or they would get in trouble. And so, it all ties together with everybody kind of collectively sitting in front of the tube, kind of, you know what I mean? Like joining a cult. You know what I mean? Because it's a membership. It's a lifetime membership. Once you get hooked, you can't get out of it.
It's called a cult movie for a reason.
Yes. Tom, where can people, if people come, first off, a couple comments before we let you go. Hold on. Maybe not. Joe said that's some vinyl collection. Do you collect any particular genre of music?
So I'm really into soundtracks and Halloween records. Hence, everything else here. Let's see what we got. Just what I'm grabbing, but Batman records. I absolutely love. Anything to do with the 66 Batman. I am all about it. James Bond. Anything horror. Anything. That's my main collection. I love that kind of stuff. I also I love collecting like 60s 70s garage rock. That at one point was an idea for a book. It never really took off. Writing about that, but so I think I'm going to stick with movies and television.
I think you might be the right man for the job there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's see.
Yes.
Learning something new. Laugh out loud. Yes. And then
I try.
Oh, yeah, we try to do it every week too. Love how much your nephew loves this. Yeah, I don't. It's one of those things that just happened organically. He was like, "How can we dive into this more?" Because I really love these movies. And they were on a YouTube screen, and it just kind of like, I want to watch that one. And he doesn't think about it, and he just waits for the monster show. But he doesn't think about like little Japanese weird alien girls or Atlanteans who are controlling things. He just kind of goes with the flow and waits for everybody to show up.
He'll get there.
He will. Tom, where can people find you if they want to find, like, I know you got other appearances coming up. Yeah. Where can people find your appearances? Where can people find where to buy the next book that comes out when it comes out?
Sure. I mean, all social my books are where books are sold, where fine books are sold. Amazon, Barnes and Noble, everywhere like that. Check them out. Just search my name on all the social media. March 21st, the Mahoning Drive-In is doing a road show in Middletown, Delaware. We are showing the great combination of King Kong versus Godzilla and Viva Las Vegas. So Elvis versus Kong
Viva La Kong.
Yeah, Viva La Kong.
Viva La Kong. He wins. So I was shocked that he won. Anyway.
so we're showing both those movies. It's their road show that they do during the winter months before their first week of films, which I think is early April at the drive-in. Mm-hmm. So, spreading around the 35 millimeter
love.
So that would be a cool experience. We'd just shown King Kong versus Godzilla at the Gap Theater in Wind Gap, Pennsylvania, and also the week after it was From Russia with Love. We had a screening of the week after that. So showing coming to any screenings that we have coming up, doing the Dana Gould Hour again. Doing Fun for All Age with Dana with Frank Santopadre once again, and also coming up with on the podcast TV Guidance Counselor. So, and also the podcast Top 10.
You're on fire. You're on fire, Tom.
Yeah.
We're lucky to have you.
And really cool one. So
we want to have you back at some point.
Please, I'd love to talk about whatever.
I don't know if we're going to do it this year because we're running out of Bond films, but we do a Bondathon once a year.
Yeah.
So at some point maybe we might have you back on to talk some Bond.
Bond. We can talk Batman. We can talk monsters. Whatever you want.
These are all Batman. You say Batman. You say Batman. Adam West was my first though. So I grew up watching it on Channel 11, WPIX New York, every day at 2 and 2:30.
Yeah,
I used to have the bobby pin, the safety pin.
Yeah.
With the blue towel and the Batman mask. and I would watch every episode. So yeah, we're kindred spirits.
Our local Fox station played it. I always remember it around dinner, so like 5-6 o'clock.
Well, I remember that Channel 11 was one of the only networks that crossed. I lived in New York when I was a kid, and I lived in and my grandparents lived in PA in Scranton. Mm-hmm. So I would go back and forth with them, and WPIX was in both places. Right. So it was like just something, you know. They also had the March of the Wooden Soldiers every Christmas. Like they had WPIX had everything that you could want. Rich, where can people find your stuff, you troublemaker?
All of my writing can be found at filmbuffonline.com. We got a Facebook page. My socials are on Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads, at FilmbuffRich.
So, JW the Movie Guy on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, all those places, IMDb. We also, if you like our show and you want to see Thom again, or you want to ask questions of Thom, like us on our YouTube Facebook page or a Facebook page or Instagram, any one of those places. Also coming up this week, we have a very full week. We have Loud and Nerdy tomorrow night. Then we have Gabe's show, Symbolistic Cynicism, and he has a big guest coming in. Super excited about him. Aviana Rose is her name. She's been in some things. And then the boys are back again for their second Untrained and Unscripted episode with Ryan West and Joe Ridgely, back from the past. Thank you, Thom, for gracing us with your presence and your movie knowledge and your expertise. Rich, great show. I'm sorry I brought up the gummy bears. Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Everybody go watch a Godzilla movie. Get ready for whatever is going to come next in the Godzilla verse. Thanks for joining us. Everybody have a good week. Go see some movies.
The season of Monarch is next month, actually.
Monarch is next week, yeah. Check it out. Have a good time. Watch some movie trailers. Do some Super Bowl stuff. It's all over now. And just